Pardon my coughing. Zulma Gonzalez, this mic is all yours. And you are muted.
Good. Because I said, oh, no, I didn't want that's what I meant to say. Oh, a magnificent Monday to you all. To you all. Let's get right into the core of what today is. According to the course, we are reminded that healing cannot be accomplished in the past. It must be accomplished in the present, which is now, to release the future. This interpretation ties the future to the present and extends the present. And Maya Angelou said, "This is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before." And Zulma says, "Now is new." And Karen Parente says, "Happy New Now." Yay! Yay! And there you go. And there you have it. There you have it. That takes care of that. Um, Before I get into A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind, I have yet to present about another friend who has made her transition. Let's see, do I have the screen? I do. Thank you. Um, this is my friend Babs. This was her in form. And on the 28th of, on the 27th, I mentioned it when I was here, that there were things going on and, that her body, she was making decisions. Her body was shutting down, just shutting down. This woman survived a heart attack some time ago and a stroke some time ago, and she pulled through. She pulled through, and her cognition was amazing. This woman remembered more than we would ever know. I have no idea what's going on. Being up now. Start your time. So, um, I need to find out what that's about. I'll be a moment. This is unusual, very unusual. Um, I'm going to unshare my screen. Regis, would you play a song? Can you please? I'll be right back. I'm back. All right. My puppy was acting, he was barking heavily and heading downstairs, and something was unusual. But anyway, here we are. Here we are. I was talking about my dear friend Babs. And so yeah, this woman, her cognition was amazing. Amazing. Even after the stroke, she could give you dates, times, details, the who's, what, when, where's, and why's of it. Amazing. In fact, she gave me this photograph while she was in the hospital. She, told me, she gave me this photograph from her phone, and she said, in case you need it. And I knew what that meant. So it was needed today to share with you all, my friend Babs Akua Bigum. Akua means Wednesday, I found out from her. And from Dr. Ernest Holmes, I read, I am. What more can I say? I am. It is enough. Because thou art, I am. From out of the deeps of me, I am. In and around me, I am. Over and through me, I am. O inner being, eternal and blessed, complete and perfect, birthless and changeless and deathless. I am, and evermore shall be. And that's what I have to share about my friend Babs. And very elegant woman, very, oof, always. She had a poise about her, consistent. And she was such a lady. She was a role model, well traveled, well versed, well and humble in all that. It's the woman. She lives forever. She lives forever, and I'm glad to know that. So with that, let us go into our study for today. And before I do that, I have to say that my I have not saved. I put this together last night, and uh, it's funny now. It's new. It was before midnight. I put this together last night, and it my computer rebooted somewhere during the night without me expecting it to do that. So the notes that I had for today from the course disappeared. And that's all right. And I didn't realize that until about 10, 20 or 10 this morning, just 20 minutes or so ago, 25 minutes or so ago. Like, okay, so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. All I know is that now is new. It's a happy new now. And I am grateful for that. So, uh, as always, I am reminding us to mind our mind. Mind your mind. Pay attention. But if I share the screen, that would help, wouldn't it? How come I can't see this thing? Um, mind your mind. To learn how to think is to learn how to live. And that's what Dr. Ernest Holmes in the course reminds us that an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. This is a course in mind training, and all learning involves attention and study at some level. Mind your mind. No, no, don't waste your time letting your mind wander here and there because it sends you to places you don't want to be. I believe I heard them say something like, uh, basically that hell is now. It's funny because I said to myself, I'm going to remember that what he said in what he in the lesson that was just being played, and he talked about hell being now, basically, if that's what you want. If you want your thoughts to be in places that aren't real, then that's hell. If you want to be in the truth, then that, of course, is heaven, because heaven is truth. So to learn how to think is to learn how to live. An untrained mind can accomplish nothing. And we're reminded that these are courses in mind training, and all learning involves attention and study at some level. So we've been looking at the Declaration of Beliefs by Dr. Ernest Holmes, reminding Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind. Science of Mind, the religious science was a study, a philosophy, a religion, a way of life that it wasn't called a religion yet. It's only recently, in the last few years, I mean, really in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe, been recognized as a religion. But Dr. Holmes didn't even want to start. He did not want to start a group. He didn't want to start anything. But his talks. He was going around and speaking so much about this all this uh, mental, all this mental science that had started back in 1895, um, the whole metaphysical movement, uh, the New Thought movement began back in 1895 and has just spread like crazy from there. And it's wonderful because they call it New Thought because it gives us a new way of looking. It's what the course, tells us that we have to be willing to see things differently. We have to be willing to see things not the way we've been seeing it, because that's the old way of thinking. That's yesterday. This is a new day. New day. Now is new. Happy new now. Um, uh, and and therefore it's new thought, just a new way of looking at things, a better, brighter way of looking at things, seeing things as they are instead of attempting to interpret it. We're talking on Saturday, I believe it was Saturday here, and uh, and I posted in the chat. We were all talking, and I just said, "Don't interpret." That was the conversation was about that. Lynn was talking, and just don't interpret. Just look at it for what it is. Just see it as it is, and say, "Okay, that's what's going on. Back up. That's what's going on, and back up. Don't take it personally. Don't make assumptions about it. Don't interpret it. Just let it be." Nevertheless, the Declaration of Beliefs from Dr. Ernest Holmes. So far, we have looked at uh, I believe in God, the living spirit almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. And basically what that means is what we know, that God is one, that God is all there is, that God is everything, that it's self-existent, and that we see it through everything. When I see you, I see the face of God. When I see your body, which I cannot deny it, that is part of that necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God, this manifest universe. Is what we see. I believe in the incarnation of the spirit in all, and that we are all incarnations of the one spirit. And that is to say that I am not a body, but I have a body. Simple. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And that even comes up. But I am an incarnation. This body belongs to me. But spirit runs my life. I believe in the eternality, the immortality, and the continuity of the individual soul forever and ever expanding. And that is, we are eternal, we are immortal, and we continue. And and the learning doesn't stop. The growing doesn't stop. I won't say the learning, but the growing doesn't stop. We are forever and ever expanding. I believe that heaven is within me and that I experience it to the degree that I become conscious of it. And that kind of goes along with what we're reading today, that I believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Heaven is within me. It is written, the kingdom of God is within. It is written, I and the Father are one. And to the degree that I become conscious of it, when I'm not letting my mind wander, when I'm choosing to engage, when I'm choosing not to forget through sleep, when I'm not engaged in the sleep of forgetfulness, this is how I become and stay conscious of it. I believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this is sure to be attained by all. And in the course, it talks about that we are already saved. There is nothing to be saved from, but the belief in a sense of separation, the belief that we are lacking in some way, the belief that God can be over there and I can be over here, that is the hell that Dove mentioned earlier. That is hell. The belief that any of that is possible when as we become willing to see things differently, as we become willing to open our eyes and be aware of the truth, to see through Christ's vision and not through physical sight. It is that is what's required for us to be to attain this complete emancipation. Do you hear me stumbling over my words? I'm stumbling like crazy. Uh, I hear it, but it's not coming out that way. So let me slow this down. Let me slow down. My mother used to laugh at me. Well, actually, I would laugh at her. She would say, "What are you saying?" She said, "I talk so fast. Nena, ¿qué tú dices? What are you saying?" Despacio, habla más despacio, speak slower, speak slower. So let me slow it down. Let me listen to mommy. Um, so the ultimate goal is complete emancipation, and the only way to do of discord of from discord of every nature, all discord of every nature, we as we realize and recognize that we are not this body, then when we look out, when we see through Christ's vision, when we look with the mind of God, we are able to see everything. It's simply what it is. It is the way it's supposed to be. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing broken. There is nothing incomplete. There is nothing that's not God. Nothing. All right. I believe in the unity of all life. And this all goes back to the oneness. It's all about the oneness. He talked about um, in the beginning that the living spirit almighty, it manifests itself in and through all creation. It that we are all incarnations of the one spirit, that this goal is sure to be attained by all. I believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. Now, Dr. Ernest talks about unity does not mean uniformity, and it can't, because we're all unique in our physical expression, but we are all individualized expression of the one God. Ideas can't leave its source. Ideas cannot leave their source. So therefore, we are all unique, individualized expressions of the one. And that one is part of what is what we all are. The highest God, what we consider the all of it, and the innermost God, what we talk about God within, is indeed one God. And here we are today. I believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. That's today. This is where we are today. I believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. I mean, all my notes were gone. I'm sitting here like, what is going on? All right, so this was a 7. Let's put that 7 there. Let's save as we go along so this doesn't happen yet again. I believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. God is God no matter what, but it's personal to me because if I have a conversation with anyone, if we all got involved in a conversation and the question was asked, so what does God mean to you? Invariably, we might all say a lot of the same things, but we're also all going to say something different because God is personal to me. God is, this is the way according to how my life is going, according to the way I think. The course teaches us that what we believe is what's true for us. So it's personal, the way I see it. And that's the one thing, it says don't take anything personally except God. Take God personally because God is personal. It is what I am. I am what it is to all who feel this indwelling presence. And, I hear it said, I hear it said, I had to see what he was doing on. Uh-huh. Um, I hear it said that I lost my train of thought. How about that? Doggy's getting my attention today. Um, I feel the love of God within me now. I feel the love of God within me now. That was one of my, just realized that that was one of my quotes from the course. But I feel the love of God within me now. But it's personal. My God, my God. And you talk about your God, I talk about my God, and we're also still talking about the same God. We're talking about that God within. Oh, I was saying that there are times when I hear people say, "Oh, I was guided to." That's that they're feeling the indwelling presence. At least, at that in that moment, that's what they believe. Because remember, what's true for us is what we choose to believe. Because there are also those who say, "Well, if God didn't tell me that, you're telling me that God said that for me, maybe God did, but I didn't get that. So maybe I need to sit still and wait, or maybe that wasn't actually for me." But anyway, I hear people say, I was guided to tell you this, or I was guided to, that spirit has guided me to. And that's if we choose to be still. That's if we choose to be still. We have to know that we are here only to be truly helpful. That's why this is coming up for me now. That we are here to be truly helpful. And sometimes we think we have to fix things. We want to get out of the way. We want to let God do what God does. Being truly helpful, the message comes through loudly and clearly right from the door. Anyway, from the Course, revelation is intensely personal and cannot be meaningfully translated. That's why any attempt to describe it in words is impossible. When you have that moment, uh, that when that feeling gets to you, that moment, you can't explain it. You can talk about it with many adjectives and describe it as in so many different ways, but you really, really can't expect. I can't make you feel what I feel. Even though we say, "Oh yeah, I understand how you feel," you may understand it, but you can't feel what I feel. And it's a good thing because that also means you can't think what I think. And that means that I can't analyze your motives. In fact, if you can't think the way I think you're thinking, then that means I can't analyze your motives. In chapter 12, it tells us don't do that. It's harmful. It is dangerous. It is just not the right thing to do to try to analyze someone else's motives because we find out that all we're doing is looking at it from our interpretation. And again, don't interpret. To feel the love of God from the Course, to feel the love of God within you is to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. To feel the love of God within you is to see the world anew. Happy New Now! Now is new. To feel the love of God within you is to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. I believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. You are oneself, the Course teaches. You are oneself, and it is given you to feel this self within you. It is given us to feel this self within us when we choose to be still, when we choose to do nothing, when we choose to let all things be exactly as they are. It is given us to feel the God within us, the Christ consciousness that is us. It is given us to feel this oneself within us. The communication link that God Himself placed within you, joining your mind with His, cannot be broken. Again, ideas don't leave their source. It's given us to feel this self within us. Now, what do we do? Let our mind wander. What do we do? Not engage. What do we do? Sleep on it, forget, but it can't be broken. It's given us, it is what we are. It can't be broken. You can't break the communication with God because that will be to break the communication with yourself. And that's not possible. God is personal. God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Whatever other quotes from the course I had, they disappeared. So we're going to go another way. We're going to go to living the science of mind. And I'm only going to read part of this, or I may have to read it again next week because it it includes the following. The next it includes the next declaration in it. I believe in the direct revelation of truth through my intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. I'm not choosing to go into all of that today. I'm sticking right with God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. From Living the Science of Mind, which I had intended to put on the screen. Let me stop share. Which I had intended to put on the screen. But actually I had it on the screen, but because my computer did a reboot, I have no idea why that is. It didn't tell me it was going to reboot. It didn't warn me. Is this the now is new thing that everything comes up new, unlike the way it was before. Uh, so let's see if by chance I can put it on the screen, just so I don't have to look down while I'm reading. I'm not going to do this. Not going to do this. It's going. It's ahead of me. All right, here we go. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God? This is from the Bible. And that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? God is in his holy temple. So those are Bible quotes. Augustine said that the pure mind is a holy temple for God. And Emerson said that God builds his temple in the heart. Seneca said that temples are not to be built for God with stones. He is to be consecrated in the breast of each. Everyone is an incarnation of God. And since each person is an individual, everyone is a unique incarnation, which is what I was talking about earlier. We can't be the same. We wouldn't we wouldn't have the joy of experiencing each other as unique and different if we were all the same. Oh my. I'm okay with, I'm very okay with being the source, being the capital S self and knowing that you are capital S self and that. But the fun, the joy is in being able to exchange ideas and thoughts, and even to sit, here, or to sit in Course in Miracle study groups or any study group. Ouch, ouch, that hurts. Um, in any study group to that where we can exchange ideas and continue to grow and grow and grow, which is what Dr. Ernest said, forever and ever expanding, forever and ever expanding. So unique incarnation. We believe in the divine presence as infinite person, capital I, capital P, divine presence, capital, all capitals. We believe in the divine presence as infinite person and personal to each. God is not a person, but the person. This person is an infinite presence filled with warmth, color, and responsiveness, immediately and intimately personal to each individual. And I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to stop right there with that. Because I have a thing with this word person. That's me. I get it, but you know, I have these things. We all have our little quirks. This is one for me. Um, we all have these quirks. Okay, so my puppy is insistent on laying behind me because he thinks that whenever I'm doing anything, that he's supposed to um, be part of it. Come on, come on. So lovable, say hello. There we go. All right. Yeah, relax. The the course reminds us that we will see things differently. That we and to be determined to see it differently means that we're already seeing it differently. As the quote in the course says, make all things different by making them all the same. But we do see differences. I can't look at anyone and say, oh, you look just like me. Oh, you look just like me. I can't say the God in me recognizes the God in you. I can't say you look like me. That would be boring to me. That really would be boring. I really appreciate the uniqueness of us all. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. Um, but our goal always is to get on the same page. To get on the same page. I want to read from the course, or rather from the Science of Mind, Living the Science of Mind, from the section called God, Your Personal Self, which I can't find. All right, I'm slowing down. I am God. There it is. God, Your Personal Self. I'm telling you, when I came to the screen and discovered that everything that I had prepared had disappeared, I had a moment, just a moment, which is good. That it was only a moment, not as bad as I used to be. I would have gone crazy. I would have no, I can't teach. I don't have any notes. Oh my God. It is what it is. It is what it is. God, your personal self, from living the science of mind, the life that is within you. The life within you is God. Whatever is true of God is true of your life, since your life and the life of God are not two, but one. I really would. The enlightened have ever proclaimed this unity of good, this oneness of man with God. For this reason, many have spoken of this life within you as both personal and impersonal. Impersonal from the standpoint that it is universal, personal from the standpoint that this universal life principle is personified in you. I am looking for this on the computer because it's easier. It feels easier to me to view the screen or feel like I'm having a connection with you this way. Okay. And for those who may be interested, I will share the screen so you can see from where I'm reading. All right, I just read the first paragraph. The universal life principle is personified in you. These are all capitals, universal life and principle. Principle, we're taught, is never bound by precedent. There is no precedent. There is no past. There is no past. Principle is always now. It always is. And in the 12-step program, they teach in the last tradition, to place principles before personalities, which is really key. If we're living by principle, we have 50 in the course, 50 miracle principles by which to live. If we focused on living by those principles alone, if we engaged with those principles, just reading those on a daily basis, granted, a lot of us do the workbook lessons every day and all that, but the 50 miracle principles are the principles. And then there are more throughout the books. We know that in the editing process, things got moved over here and pushed over there, but um, the principles are the principles, and that's unchanging. That is. So if you want to get to, look at the root of it, go to the principles. The universal life principle is personified in you. This life within you, being God, did not begin and it cannot end. Hence, you are immortal and eternal. You can never be less, but must forever be more yourself as this life within you unfolds through your experiences, through your gathering of knowledge and wisdom. Evolution is the drawing out of the God principle already latent within you. In other words, we can never not be God. The problem is already solved. Workbook lesson 80. The problem is already solved. There is no problem, which is why it's already solved. There is no problem. I need to go into the room for a moment. Somebody just came to mind. I want to say good morning, a magnificent Monday to Sharon and Regis and Carrie and Lynn and Dove and my Karen, who is along with Regis, is in the on the Zoom. And thank you. Uh, okay, go back to what I was reading. It is this God principle. Okay, so evolution is the drawing out of the God principle already latent within you. It's already there. We are already what the source is. We're just expressing it, growing and growing. It is this God principle within you, which Jesus referred to when he said, before Abraham was, I am. And when he said to the one who passed from this life with him, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. The God that is within you is truth, beauty, harmony, and wholeness. We know that holy and whole mean the same thing. I am part of God, and my mind is part of God's, and I am whole. I am complete. Every apparent imperfection from which you suffer is the result of ignorance. We just don't know. We don't know. We keep forgetting. The sleep of forgetfulness is the unwillingness to remember, but we keep forgetting. We keep becoming unwilling to remember. We keep thinking that what's in front of us is it. That's real. That's now. That's this is everything. No, it's nothing. Because now you see it. Now you don't. Because ignorance of the law, and we're talking about the law of God, law of cause and effect, the law of God, the law of mind, which the Course also speaks of. Because ignorance of the law excuses no one from its effects, it follows that the very power, capital P, which has bound you, rightly understood and properly used, will produce freedom. In other words, God is always what we are. That's unchanging. That's unchanging. But when we forget, we bind ourselves. We bind ourselves. We think that, oh, I can't do this. Oh, this is not going to work. Oh, no, this is not for me. Oh, I'm going to play small. Oh, it's awful. I'm going to awfulize about anything, about everything. Oh, I heard it. See if you can not complain for a day. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. See if you can not complain for an hour, a half hour, a minute. Oh my God. Because when we're doing that, we are not letting all things be exactly as they are. We are not recognizing that we are not the ones that we individually are not in charge. We are criticizing, becoming a critic of God. Let me not be your critic today, Lord. Try it. Try not to complain for a period of time and see how that works for you. Okay. The God within you is a unity, capital U, and not a duality. This unity is changeless, forever revealing itself to each. This is why the God who is already within, even though he is harmonious and perfect, has ever appeared as the God we believe in. And that's the Course teaches us that what we believe is what's true for us. So if I believe I'm not good enough, the universe says yes, because the universe doesn't say no. God can never say no. God is, it's always yes, ever and ever expanding. It's always yes. Things continually grow. Nothing dies. It transforms. Just, but it's continuing. It's changing forms. We see all these. Oh my gosh, we see life always happening. It's always happening. It's always happening. So if I'm thinking I'm not this, the law is saying yes. If I'm saying I can't this, the law is saying yes. And until I choose to see it differently, the law is going to continue to give me. It's the law of cause and effect. If I'm cause, I'm also effect. I'm the reason why it's not working out the way I want it to. So we might say that the God within, being infinite, appears to each one of us as the God who is believed in. And we worship the God whom we believe in rather than the God who is. Ooh, the sleep of forgetfulness is only the unwillingness to remember. Too tolerant of mind wandering. We think that we are right. We would rather be right than happy. We worship the God whom we believe in rather than the God who is. In that moment when we think we're supposed to judge so and so for not being the way we are. I like the way Glorian said it, you know, don't judge me because my misperceptions are different than yours, which was a paraphrase of um, the quote that I had seen on Facebook. But that's, that word misperceptions. Don't judge me because my misperceptions are different than yours. Because even while you're judging me, you're misperceiving. Ah, and we worship the God whom we believe in rather than the God who is. But there is nothing wrong about this, since the God who is believed in is at times some part of the God who is. Therefore, whatever God you believe in, provided you believe this God is already within you, you must respond. There. Whatever God you believe in, provided you believe this God is already in you, must respond to you at the level of your belief. There you go. There you go. It is done unto us as we believe. That's what's written. It's done unto us as we believe. Our belief will continually determine what we're doing, where we're going, how our life is turning out. We actually can know what it say. Tree. You know the tree by its fruit. You know what's going on. I can say all day long that I really want this room to be organized, but if I'm not doing anything to organize the room, well, then I'm just not being in true to myself. This is why, okay, so it's as to the level of your belief. And this is why it is done unto each one of us as we believe. The principle is infallible. The practice is what we make it. The principle is infallible. The practice is what we make it. There is a great difference in believing God to be within you or outside you. For if God is outside you, how are you going to reach this God who, not being some part of you, must be separated from you? How can you hope to unite things which are different from each other? Oh, there it is. How can you hope to unite things which are different from each other? Make all things different. Make this year different by making it all the same. Make it all the same. The form may be different, but the content is always the same. And if we can focus on the content, stay engaged, focus on the content, don't go to sleep, focus on the content, avoid mind wandering, focus on the content. How can you hope to unite things which are different from each other? But the God who is already within you, being forever perfect and complete, and that's what perfect means, whole, needs no reunion with anyone. And you need no reunion with anyone, and you need no reunion with this God, because this God already is in your every act, every thought, every movement, in your every plan, purpose, and performance. Ideas don't leave their source. We are always one with the one. We think we're separate. We think that we can act differently. We think that pain, this thing going on my shoulder. We think this is not God. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's what's the lesson? That's the key. How do I handle it? It's not the thing. This bodily thing is temporary, and it may go on continually for long periods of time. There are moments when I just can't feel like I can't lift it. It hurts to try to move it, but that too is temporary. And eventually, there will be no arm, there will be no body. In the meantime, what's mine to do is to work on the healing of my mind, the healing of my mind, and know that, all right, it's just part of the cycle. All right, it's part of the cycle, and sometimes it's harder than others, but it's part of the cycle. God is already in your every act, every thought. I love that. Every movement, in your every plan, purpose, and performance. I do. I really like that. That's worth highlighting for me. Um, the God within you creates every circumstance and situation you have ever experienced. See, we are responsible. We make the choices. I'm responsible for what I see. I'm responsible. I am responsible. I make the choices. And here it is. The God within you creates every circumstance and situation you have ever experienced. You have called these circumstances and situations things in themselves, but they have never been. Remember, the ego analyzes. It calls this thing over here, that thing over there, the other thing, and this is a problem, this is bigger than that, and it's the order of difficulty and all that. So we have called them circumstances and situations. We've called them things in themselves, but they have never been. They have always been the fruition of your thought. And your thought has been dominated by your belief in God ever since you have had self-conscious life. This consciousness, this awareness that we have, where we decide it's this way or that, it's good or it's bad. I know a young woman, it doesn't matter. She asked me about something that she felt was meant to be and why the relationship didn't work out. And I said that what's meant to be is. What God means to be is, and what God doesn't will isn't. And her response was, thanks for that. Now, I'm reading it as a text message. I thought she was, saying, thank you, I appreciate, she gives this response. And then he goes into this saying that what I meant, she was saying that what I meant was that she wasn't good enough to have this relationship. And all I could do was ask her a simple question. How did you get that from what I wrote? How did you get that from what I wrote? And I left it alone. I said no more. These circumstances and situations have always been the fruition of your thought, and your thought has been dominated by your belief in God ever since you have had self-conscious life. Ever since you have had self-conscious thought, you have, by your use of the law of liberty, and the course teaches that when we talk about fear, that, our fear can't be taken away from us. We have to look at our thought system, because it's the ego thought system that's in fear in the first place. And it's making the choice to go into the Holy Spirit thought system, the choice to not be stuck in that place, the choice to see it differently that helps us relieve that. But that's the law of liberty. Ever since you have had self-conscious thought, you have, by your use of the law of liberty, created bondage. Not that bondage really existed, because see, we think there's a problem. We think that we are bound. We think that something is wrong. No, not that bondage really existed, but the possibility of using freedom in a limited way existed. Here we go. We are using our freedom in a limited way. We are free to do whatever we want. We are free to choose. We are free. We have this. We are free to decide. Now, if we choose smallness, then we're going to choose in a way that's going to give us bondage. And if we choose our magnanimousness, word magnanimousness, I'm going with it. If we choose our magnanimousness, we can only succeed, we can only prosper, we can only find joy, we can only find peace. And even if the situation doesn't turn out the way we hoped it would, the way we had planned for it to, we can still see the joy in it, because we realize that it is not a thing in itself. You really never bound freedom. We can't bind freedom. You merely used it in a restricted way. The restriction was not in the principle, but in your use of it. Never in the principle, but in our use of it. There could never be, there is a difference whether you believe in actual limitation or merely in a restricted use of freedom. That's a good point. That's a good point. How we choose to look at this thing. Do we see do we see only one way through? If limitation were a thing in itself, you could not change it. This is key. This is so key. But since it is only an outline of experience, why not use your imagination to enlarge that experience? When you do this, you will find that the life principle within you, we're talking about the life that's within us. We're talking about believing that it is personal to all who are aware, conscious of it. When you do this, you will find that the life principle within you responds just as quickly to a broader outline. The old outline was imaginary only, never real. There are no limits. There are no bounds. No bonds. There is no bondage. There is nothing that can separate us from God. Can't be, because we are what it is. That's crazy. It's to say that I'm separating myself from myself, which is insane. The only outline was imaginary only, never real. It was like the horizon where the earth and sky appeared to meet. And as we travel toward this apparent dead end, we find that it disappears. Whatever you mentally see and spiritually comprehend, you may objectively experience because it's done unto us as we believe. For the God within you is not limited to any one experience, it is the creator of experience. I intend to read more of this next week, rather on Thursday. I really am. I really didn't know which way I was going with this today. I knew that I had things on, on a slide or in a couple, that I was going to present, and that's not it. So, what is it is what is it is the belief again from Dr. Holmes that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. So, if I believe that God is limited, then of course I'm going to experience limitation. But what I just read is that it was never the limitation was never a thing in itself, ever. It's the belief in limitation, the belief that healing is not possible. And I'm not talking about healing of the body, I'm talking about healing of the mind, which sometimes, coincides with the body too. But, you know, the belief that the healing is not possible, to always, talk about what's wrong, always, focus on this isn't good and that's not good and this terrible thing is happening and that's happening. And the other thing, instead of looking at the areas where I can be appreciative, only appreciation is an appropriate response. Gratitude. Gratitude is due everything. It's due my brother, it's due my sister, it's due the doggy, it's due life, it's due gratitude for everything. It's written in the Bible. In all things, give thanks, not for all things, because again, the for, those are the circumstances and situations, but in all things, in every situation, because we just keep on going. We keep on going. We are in a state of grace forever. God is personal, personal. We're in a state of grace forever. Ideas cannot leave their source. We are an idea in the mind of God. We cannot leave our source. And with that, given 2 minutes, Lynn, you got 2 minutes to shut it down and go to the next. I think this is a good time to say amen, and so it is. Lynn, here's the mic.
Thank you so much, Zulma. And I'm just so grateful for you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everyone. And loving this talk that you're doing. It's a really